A woman known as Frau Trophies started dancing in the streets of Strasbourg, which was then a part of the Holy Roman Empire, and is now in modern-day France, on a July day in 1518. In medieval Strasbourg, there wasn't much to do for entertainment, so people greeted this diversion with delight. Without any music, Frau Trophy was jumping, twisting, and whirling. Watching it was enjoyable until it wasn't. Frau Trophy was still going strong 6 days later. She hadn't eaten or slept. Rain or shine, day or night, Frau Trophy was unable to stop dancing. Even this might have been enough for concern, but all of a sudden others were joining her in her unrelenting dance. There were 34 people present at beginning. It reached 400 at the end of the month. People were so exhausted that they started to disappear like flies. The fortunate ones simply passed out, awakening from their peculiar ailment. Heart attacks claimed the lives of the unfortunate. The Strasbourg city government decided to create a stage and employ musicians in the aim of exhausting the dancers. According to their theory, the dancers were suffering from fevers or hot blood, which could only be treated through dancing. This was definitely a bad plan because the show just made more people want to join the insane dancers. According to some accounts, the dancing appeared to go on forever, and at its height, was murdering up to 15 people per day. It wasn't as scary as it seemed at first. The worst affected dancers were eventually transported to a shrine and stopped dancing there one day. The other dancers also gradually stopped without them. It is a given that the dancing plague of 1518 happened. Numerous historical documents from a variety of sources attest to the fact that hundreds of Strasbourgeois did start dancing wildly. Notes from doctors, sermons, city council minutes, and other texts all support the same data. What led to this situation remains unclear. One possibility is ergot poisoning. This is a rye-growing fungus that, when baked into bread and swallowed, has effects somewhat like LSD but much more deadly. Although ergot poisoning can have psychedelic effects, fatalities from it are significantly more common than months of sustained dancing. Several academics argue that the dancing epidemic is a member of a family of poorly understood psychological phenomena known as mass psychogenic diseases or mass hysterias, rather than attributing it to a single, well-understood cause. It is believed that mass psychogenic disorders result from a group's reaction to stress, and in 1518 Strasbourg had much to be upset about. In a Lance article, John Waller clarified, in 1518, the inhabitants of Strasbourg and its surroundings were facing severe hardship due to a string of terrible harvests, the highest grain prices in more than a decade, the emergence of syphilis, and the reappearance of diseases like leprosy and the plague. These were extremely hard years for the inhabitants of Alsace, even by the arduous standards of the Middle Ages. While the 1518 dancing epidemic was notable for its characteristics, it wasn't the first case of widespread psychogenic disease or a dancing plague. While it appeared that the dance plagues ended at the end of the Middle Ages, there have been other large psychogenic illnesses throughout history. Roughly 1,000 Tanzanians started laughing uncontrollably in 1962, sometimes for as long as 16 days at a stretch. It took 18 months for the epidemic to end. Almost 1,000 Palestinians experienced lightheadedness and fainting in 1983. They attributed the illness to some sort of Israeli chemical warfare, but due to the nature of the disease and how far it spread throughout the population, they were only able to determine that 20% of the cases that were reported could have been caused by a chemical strike. Mass psychogenic disorders are problematic because they happen too seldom for field observations to be made, and it is impossible to forecast when they will manifest. It's still unknown what causes them and what gets rid of them. They at least highlight how glaringly inadequate our knowledge of human psychology is. Hope you found this video informative. Subscribe to our channel for more engaging content like this.